games. Welcome to Filthy Casuals, a podcast about video games hosted by two very kind and extremely knowledgeable boys. Thank you for joining us. We know you have a lot of options and we really appreciate you settling on this of all of the podcasts. Yep. My name is Tommy Dasilo and I mean, look, I'm as surprised as you folks are, but joining me, as always, we have...
Ben Vanel here. That's right. I'm not lost on some bender like I, am wont to do. I haven't woken up in a gutter somewhere without my Zoom recorder. 20 missed calls from one T Dasilo on the phone.
Well, now there's only two of us, so if you go walkabout, I've just got to sit here and fill time by myself.
Start of WTF style.
Yep.
Just talking about Cupid.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, the dog ranch.
Yeah.
My house in Fitzroy, the dog ranch. Hey, quick, if I may be so bold, speaking of going on a bender and getting lost.
Yes.
I'm currently in Perth. This is an off-site recording. Mm-hmm. Hey, any filth, if you're in Perth, I'd love to see you at my show Main Character. It's at the Laugh Resort at Yagan Square, which is one of the most bizarre buildings I've ever been in my entire life. I am there until Sunday, Feb 2nd. It's on now. It started last night. And so, yeah, if you're in town, I would love to see you. Tickets are at tommydasilo.com. Please come and see my new hour of stand-up in the beautiful whatever the fuck that building is supposed to be.
So what? Talk me through this building, because I've never heard of Yagan Square.
It's this little kind of walkway that's between the CBD and North Bridge. So North Bridge is like, I don't know, I guess it's meant to be like the trendy area, I suppose. It's like right next to the city, and there's like a bit of it, there's a strip of it that's like pretty rank. Like sex shops and strip clubs and just like pretty out of control nightclubs and
people getting coward punched left, right, and center.
But from my memory, they renovated the train station ages ago, and then now there's this like kind of fancy, this kind of nice little walkway that takes you kind of from the city across there, and there's this like really weirdly designed little I guess like mini shopping center that's got like a couple of bars and restaurants in it. Mm-hmm, but you look at it from the outside and you can see bits kind of like jutting out that are, like a nice little balcony to a, bar or whatever. And you look at it from the outside and you go, I do not know how I would get to that part of the building from here. It's bizarre. Yeah, it's real. It's got a real Fed Square kind of energy to it.
Yeah,
it's very
I'm looking at it now.
It's very like MC Escher kind of.
Yeah. Beautiful for tourists and people wanting to enjoy the precinct. Just getting absolutely lost. It is very Fed Square. That's a very good call. I think I might have walked over it the last time I was in Perth.
Yeah.
Like, how do I get from here from wherever I was to where I was meant to be performing, and just going on this big fucking loop around the train station and over the thing, and like wonderful city, beautiful city. Perth.
Yeah, and what's great about the venue is so from on stage, when I'm looking out at the audience, like next to them there's like a big window that's just got like a sheer curtain over it, so you kind of can see through to the outside. And then outside in the actual square there's like a giant billboard, like a giant like electronic screen that's like a big, like a round sort of bollardy kind of thing that's showing a massive ad for KFC. So it's like this real Blade Runner scenario where I'm up there just like drenched in red light, trying to focus on the show, but like haven't had dinner yet and really hungry, and just seeing an ad for the Zinger Stacker Burger just being projected at me every minute and a half. It's beautiful, and I'll tell you this, it's really adding to the show. So
I bet it is. Folks. Yeah, the ambience is unmatched.
Yeah, but hey, speaking of ambience, lot of different types of ambience were presented to us almost a week ago in the Xbox Developer Direct.
Yeah. I mean, fair. That's a fair comment. Two of the games were the same thing. So not that wildly different there. But then, yeah, we have some medieval times, some French times.
Yeah.
Some Louisiana Bayou times.
Should we quickly plug the Patreon, by the way?
I think we should, yeah.
Get onto the Patreon if you're not on there already. We do an extra show every week, and there's what made me think of it was that we do a special once a month episode called the Special Zone, where one of us presents a specialty topic to the other one. And we just recently, it'll be up in the next tomorrow, I guess.
It will be up in the next tomorrow. It'll
be up
right.
in the next tomorrow. The most recent one we did was the On Cinema universe.
That's right.
Of Tim Heidecker and Greg Turkington. And once you get into that show, it is really hard to talk about any kind of media in a kind of joking way without feeling like you are just unironically doing the bit of being the biggest moron talking about things that you have no real concept of.
So, the Ninja Gaiden franchise takes place in merry old Japan. It's
Ninja Gaiden.
Nine Ja. It's the Ja Rule franchise. No, we got an Xbox Developer Direct, the first one of the year. Hey, I'll be honest, I didn't sit down and watch the whole thing. I skimmed through it. And that's all you need to do to be a journalist, I feel like.
I knew it was happening. I didn't watch it live. I figured, hey, there'll be some big announcements that'll come across my desk.
Right.
And then that didn't really happen. And 24 hours later, I went, oh, yeah, I wonder what happened in that Developer Direct. I should have a little look back. But no, there was some good stuff shown off.
Yeah. I mean, I think maybe Ninja Gaiden 4 was announced for the first time. I don't think we knew about that. But then, the other games covered are games that I think we were already really excited for and interested in. And there was a bit of like actual deep dive stuff. The Developer Directs, I guess, are the ones where they get the people working on the game to do a bit of a chat, a bit of a run through.
Yep.
But Ninja Gaiden 4, Team Ninja and Platinum Games, your old mates.
My old mates.
You love to flog your little log over Bayonetta.
Yeah.
Well, this one's a guy.
Well, good news for my log. It will be remaining untouched.
But yeah, I thought this looked really cool. I think I'm probably more enticed by the Platinum Games aspect of it because, like, Team Ninja have done Neo, those Neo games, from the Matrix, and they've been like fine, but not really quite up to the level of the From Software games, which they're like so directly inspired by. Yeah, but Platinum Games that like they're so much more cinematic and fun and ridiculous. And I feel like that also that kind of the more hack and slash combat rather than like that paced, slow sort of Dark Souls kind of combat is just more fun, I feel like. Yeah.
I think they've got so many different franchises and titles on the boil, but they kind of have such a great core of what they do that they've really gotten down like pretty finely tuned that I'm pumped because the most of the stuff I play from them is on Nintendo hardware, which they do what they can, but it often runs pretty sluggishly. So it's cool looking at this and seeing it actually running on some great hardware and just
the Xbox Series S.
Yeah,
the finest available console.
I think for them, it's like, it's that real 60 frames, that fluidity. That's kind of what you really need in their style of gameplay. It looks like, and I mean, I'm the same as you. I don't really have any attachment to the Ninja Gaiden franchise. This was one that I know a lot of people were very excited to see it come back. But this seems like it'll be a bit of an entry point for a lot of people.
Absolutely, I hope it is for me, and like it still has the the large scale bosses, and I guess the sort of lore and the story, the backstory of this world is pretty cool. It's like future Tokyo but like, yeah, cyberpunk ninjas and samurai and stuff. And yeah, visually I thought it looked sick as well. And yeah, because what are Platinum Games games apart from Bayonetta? It's like Astral Chain was one that you played
Astral
recently,
Chain
right?
was their Switch one that came out kind of early on the Switch, which apparently I think they're working on a sequel.
Right.
Was the rumor that I saw, which I would love because I loved that game. I don't really know how it did like commercially, but yeah, I hope that rumor is true because there's definitely like a lot in that world that they could expand on.
Right.
Yeah, Bayonetta, they did the Wonderful 101 was like their Wii U game that then they ported over and like remade recently as like a Kickstarter thing. And they did that puzzle game version of Bayonetta. Remember that one? Cereza and the Lost Demon? Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, a real... Yeah, that's a real like left turn for them. Yeah, what are they? I feel like we're
Bayonetta 3
big one here.
I think is the big Bayonetta 3 and then that puzzle one coming out right after it. I think are their most recent games.
Yeah.
And then
Babylon's Fall. I think they worked on Nier Automata. I'm seeing.
Oh yeah.
Here. Yeah. But yeah, certainly that Bayonetta style is like their main thing that they're, I guess, known for. And there's also a remaster of Ninja Gaiden 2 Black.
Yeah.
Which is out now, which I'm keen to check out.
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, it is. It's out. It was out, on day of the showcase. Yeah, sick. That's exciting, mate. I mean, I don't know, maybe I'll hold off for the newer one in case it is more of a, like, a friendly entry point.
Yeah. I mean, this looks beautiful, though. I think this is Unreal Engine 5, which I don't know if I've played anything that's been done in that engine yet. It looks...
Did you play...
Matrix thing.
What was that game with the bad dialogue and the woman who was a magician?
Well, I mean, you describe it like that, you're making it sound awesome.
I know. Forspoken, I believe, was in Unreal 5.
No, I didn't I didn't go near that.
Well, look, I might play this this remaster, or I might play a million other games, because there's a lot of indie stuff that we'll talk about this week as well.
Yes.
But also on the horizon, coming out in April, is South of Midnight. So yeah, this is but from Compulsion Games. I don't actually know if I've played anything from them, but this is the sort of southern North America set. Sort of, hey, it's a woman and she's a magician.
It's actually, you're spot on. This is, so this we kind of saw a very vague reveal trailer for a while ago now.
Kind of like a digital version of like a stop motion animation style. Very moody, very sort of, a bit vague, but definitely engaging. Like I know that, we were both super interested in what it
I think it jumped out pretty quickly, especially, in that, it was like an Xbox Direct where they had a few that kind of looked pretty interesting and not just like your run-of-the-mill. Like, as you say, I think what makes this stick out, like I was watching, there's like a story trailer and a gameplay trailer, which are both great. And just immediately in the story trailer, it's this, it's like set in like the bayou, and there's this hurricane coming, and there's this young girl who you play as, and she's kind of having an argument with her mum about needing to like evacuate, and her mum's trying to help people, and it's like a friction point for the two of them. And immediately you're like, oh yeah, this is like the kind of stuff that we just don't ever see in games, like this setting, this type of character, this sort of scenario. Like I kind of felt more like I was watching a trailer for like a new film or something. Yeah. And you get so just inundated with this like, sort of medieval fantasy world and like dragons and all that kind of stuff. Like, or not to knock those genres, but it does feel like we're at a bit of or zombie, or
zombies, or just like big bulky guys with machine, like your Gears of War, that kind of like that aesthetic, which you're right, becomes a little bit overly familiar. And then it's such a departure. Compulsion made We Happy Few, which was this like 1984 British Big Brother has taken over style game. It ended up being, I think, more like a survival game, like a survival action first-person game, rather than a narrative game, which was kind of disappointing to me because I had seen like the trailer for that, and just the imagery of it was like really, really cool. I did play We Happy Few and enjoyed it. I think it was, or probably still is, on Game Pass. It was, kind of like what if Fallout or Bioshock was like an open world, survival game.
Right.
But there was enough cool ideas in there, and aesthetically it was awesome that I was, this is exactly what I wanted. I wanted them to make a narrative single player game.
Yeah.
And so, it kind of looks like it has a bit of your Resident Evil 4, like, action, using abilities and shit, but also puzzle solving and traversal, and it's all about making your way through this complicated sort of, very designed and curated series of levels.
Yeah, and like in practice, like in the gameplay trailer, it is a lot of like, here's your big guys and you're dodging and you're getting around behind them. And again, this sort of stuff that we've seen a lot of before, but just the whole packaging of it, and you're riding around on this big catfish guy who's like talking to you. And you've got like your traversal powers. You can basically kind of like fly around. So in the playing of it, it doesn't look like it's doing anything too out there. But just the music and everything in the trailers, like I'm super in. It seems really interesting just in that, like those styles of gameplay, they persist because they're fun, they're good to play.
Absolutely.
So just having a different, I think that's the thing that kind of holds me back from a lot of the open worldy kind of people are the Ubisoft kind of stuff. It's not even so much that it's the style is boring. It's the style is boring when the packaging isn't giving you something to really like latch onto.
Like
famously Hogwarts Legacy.
Yes.
Which now, not to out him publicly, but our friend Dilruk Jai Singer.
Oh yes,
who's 40 today, by the way. Happy birthday, Dil.
Happy birthday, Dil.
Not that he'll ever hear this, but he's
I
gone.
also should say Dilruk and Murphy McLaughlin, friend of the show, they share a birthday.
Oh really? Both 40?
No, I think Murphy's a little bit younger than 40. Maybe 37 or 38.
Like someone's lying about their age. Anyway. Happy birthday, Murphy.
Happy birthday, Murph. Go listen to Murph's Tavern if you want to hear me and Timothy Clark talk about The Simpsons probably 7 or 8 times over the course of that podcast runtime.
That's so weird. Dill's literally just texted me, like, literally right then.
Whoa!
But he's gone full Lauren mode. He texted me the other day that he's logged an obscene amount of hours into Hogwarts Legacy, and it's he's played a bit of games. He got into Spider-Man and stuff, and it's not doing anything too different. But if you're into that world, then that's the thing that hooks you in. And it's been a while since I've played a third-person action adventure that's had enough of the overall kind of vibe to really pull me in, and this looks like it could be it. I'm pretty pumped.
Yeah, absolutely. Dill and you talk about video games on your other podcast. Help.
Anything
how
to
do
say
I do
about that?
Stuff? the little help me club. No, go ahead.
The little help me club. Fuck, that's such a better name.
How to do everything with Tommy Dasilo. It's on NPR. You can listen to it now.
Yeah, go check it out on NPR.
I love the Jesse Eisenberg episode too.
Yeah, thank you.
This looks great. And like I said, I was keen for this developer to make something a bit more narrative and single player focused. Very excited for this.
Yeah.
And then I presume the next game that was featured in this is also a single player game. It didn't look to be anything weird. It was Clair Obscur Expedition 33. Absolutely normal name that's easy to remember.
Oh man, it's great. It's great.
I think these were maybe some French Canadians.
Right.
There was a lot of accents going on in this developer direct, which is fantastic. I love accents. I think they're beautiful.
Yeah, I think everyone should just, have a crack. have a crack at them. If there's one that you feel like doing that sounds kind of funny and interesting to you for whatever reason, don't be afraid to just let it rip.
Are you implying that everyone in this developer direct was doing an accent that wasn't their own?
No, I'm saying anyone listening who that's not their accent, if you just want to start doing them in public.
I'd actually like for listeners to send in their Australian accent attempts.
Yes,
to,
please.
filthycasuals.pod@gmail.com. I would love to start playing some voicemails on the show.
You know what I've gotten into again recently? Have you ever seen the 60 Minutes story about people who've like bonked their head and then they've developed an accent?
Oh, I haven't seen that, but I have heard about that. Yeah.
It is incredible. It's like, it's one of those ones where for some reason the Australian journo is like, has flown overseas to like interview the person. So there's this lady who I think she's Irish and she fell over or something and now she's talking in a Chinese accent.
Oh,
and it's like,
baby.
And so it's like the Aussie journalist from 60 Minutes, he's over there chatting to her.
Yeah.
And then it's just like them walking down the street and and him being like, yeah, so like what do people in the town think of this? And I wish I had the stones to impersonate her doing her impersonation, but I won't. It's her being like, yeah, you know, it's pretty tough.
On Chinese New Year, it's very big of you to not.
She's like, yeah, you know, I'm getting a lot of pushback, you know, people don't believe me. And it's just like, just the great, like, why does this need to be a walk and talk? Like, why has this man flown halfway across the world? It's just like him walking down the street just being like, just, you know, when the journo's just like, you know, him just going like, what? Why is this on 60 Minutes? What am I, fucking Louis Theroux now? Like, this isn't the show to really be able to get up in her grill and be like, I got to be honest. I think this is just you wanting an excuse to let it rip with a fucking beautiful Chinese accent out in the street.
I once again emphasize, if you want to do an accent and send it into filthycasuals.pod@gmail.com.
Yeah, we won't.
Let us know your name. Maybe we'll give you a sentence to say like, you know, my name's X.
Yeah.
I come from blah and I love Filthy Casuals podcast. And do that in your accent.
Anyway, this is all to say that this game looks fucking awesome.
Yeah. It's turn-based RPG. Very, very cool design style and interface aesthetic. Very metaphor refantasio.
Yeah.
Which I think, kind of like caught our attention initially. But it looks sick. I love this. It's like 19th century France sort of aesthetic. Very cool style. And they go through a lot of the sort of complexity of the party building and the interaction of like the abilities and the play styles and the character builds. It sounds just like a really good turn-based RPG with a fun aesthetic. I'm excited for this one.
It looks expensive. Like
it certainly does.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting to see this very like JRPG formula in terms of the party building and the as you say the combat screens and everything look very Atlas, but with a sort of more of a Western sort of aesthetic and style, and I mean these landscapes and the traversal and stuff, like it just looks beautiful.
Yeah, I'm very keen for this. I think it's a new developer. Thronefall Interactive's first game,
right,
as listed on their website. Cool. I don't know the history of the team, but you can find. Oh, okay. So Guillaume Broche as the CEO and creative director. So he was a narrative lead at Ubisoft. So
okay. Yep.
He's come across from there. Does make sense why. I think that's where the sort of French Canadian influence comes from. I'm really keen for this game. I think it looks sick. Yeah,
and this is because I'm just looking it up, and so I think it's coming out on everything. It's coming out on.
It is.
Yeah, it's Windows. It is. So it's not an. Yeah, that trailer ends with just the Game Pass logo. I was like, what?
No, coming to Pete.
What the what?
Rev McManus calling. I beg your pardon. PS5, PC, Steam, obviously, as well
great.
as the Xbox. So it's not being held back by Phil Spencer and his little minions.
His little yellow guys are obsessed with bananas.
That's right.
Yeah.
Don't do the accent. And then rounding out,
if you say little yellow guy and you do the voice, either way, it's bad news, brother. You're in trouble no matter which direction you choose to go.
I bumped my head and I started talking like a minion. That I would believe.
That flying all the way over to Ireland to chat to that guy, I'm like, yes, money well spent.
We need to spread this story.
Yep.
But yeah, Doom: The Dark Ages was the final game in this presentation. Got a fair bit of airtime.
Yeah.
A lot of, a bit of a deep dive from the devs. And yeah, I'm glad that they did, because I was like, I was always going to play it. I was a bit let down by Doom Eternal. I know some people really loved the sort of slight change in gameplay with that one. But I think you're the same, Tommy. Like, we both loved the 2016 Doom.
Yeah, and I didn't finish Eternal, but I was enjoying my time with it. It had just enough of the spice in there to be like, you'd get into these moments where you're like, I mean, this is what it's all about.
Right.
I'm fucking punching a guy in the face and it's fully replenishing all my ammo. It just doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah.
But I mean, I kept forgetting that this existed. And again, I remember it being announced and it being like, wow, what a cool pivot. Like, what a gutsy call for a franchise that it would be so easy to just, play it safe, do a bit more of the same, and being like, nah, it's medieval now. And you've got like, what have you got? Like a big fucking bombie knocker and just all this kind of weird shit. Yeah.
They've still managed to wedge in a lot of like things that seem to work like guns, which is cool. Obviously, they had crossbows and shit back in the old times, the olden days. But yeah, there's like some big fucking shotgun ass, like flintlock looking things.
Oh, yes.
But then, there's all this like other like traversal stuff. You can play in a giant fucking mech, which looks sick, and punch big demons, and then you can fly around on a dragon.
Man, dudes rock, honestly. I've just got the trailer playing as you're speaking, and like, oh yeah, that's what it is. It's your shield that's got the big chainsaw on the outer rim of it.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But yes, all the levels look great. The scale of it looks like awesome.
Yeah.
The fact that you get to fly around hell on a dragon, like, this is like fantasy novel cover art stuff coming to life. Like,
it's
really
like,
looks cool.
year 9 doodles in the margin of the textbook come to life.
Yeah, but it looks fantastic, and I think all the stuff they talked about in terms of like, the scale of it and reimagining sort of the experience. Like you said, they could have just done more of the same. Yeah, but they were like, no, let's up the game.
Yeah, this looks beautiful, man. I hate to say it, but these like 3 games alone that we've been talking about, just kind of like refreshing myself with them before we started recording, a little tiny voice came into my head and went, maybe I need to get a Series X. Maybe that'd be let me
good. Let me talk you down, because this also is coming to PS5.
Yeah. I guess it's really only south of midnight, isn't it? Yeah, there's no need to do that. That's stupid.
I don't know if it's exclusive to Xbox, like the Xbox Store and Game Pass. It might be on Steam. But yeah, Ninja Gaiden, the new one at least, is like on everything. It's on PS5 as well. So, I mean,
I'm not doing it.
No.
I'm not doing it.
But you should buy a PSVR 2, because there's a lot of stuff on that.
I just, what it was? It's like, it's just been a while. There truly is nothing else on Earth in the human experience quite like the feeling of breaking open a new console. A new high-end piece of tech, taking it out of the little box and handling it like a newborn. But then I remembered, like, you know, we'll be getting to do that in the next 6 months or so with a new Switch. So that's going to scratch that itch.
And hey, you can always like trade in your Steam Deck and buy a brand new one for no reason if you really want that experience.
If I really wanted to. Yeah, that's a good point.
But yeah, not to like be negative about Microsoft, because these are all great, and like I'm sure that they are a massive reason as to why they've got funding and all that. But yeah, you can probably play these on just any old PC.
I mean, yeah, and
they're
all coming to other stuff. Yeah. Looks great. Out. Did we say when it's out yet? May. Where is this?
15th May. 15th May for Doom.
Great.
So, yeah, not too far away for a lot of this stuff as well. Clair, Obscur Expedition 33, my favourite game title ever, is out 24th of April. South of Midnight's out in April as well. Ninja Gaiden Black is already out. And then Ninja Gaiden 4 is, spring our time.
Later this year, I think they said.
Yeah, so September, October sort of situation.
Which
not
is
bad.
Good.
Like, that is a good schedule of releases for Microsoft. And yeah, I look forward to playing them on other consoles and platforms.
On competing hardware.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, good love a little deep dive.
Absolutely.
Yeah, especially these things that we'd only seen. Very vague little reveal trailers for.
Totally.
Cool to see them in action. Pretty pumped.
Well, we've hit 31 minutes, so now we transition to talking about stuff we played. It's how we do the podcast now.
Yeah, we hit the showers for we're in there for 3 hours while they set up the Filthy Casuals halftime show.
That's right.
We have to watch the Kid Leroy perform while sitting here being like, God damn it, we just need to get back out there and finish this fucking pod.
I didn't kick any goals in that entire first half of the podcast.
I'm surprised that's like, to my knowledge, that's not ever really talked about. That really gets lost in the weeds of the Super Bowl halftime show. It must be fucking annoying being one of the players, especially if it's a close game, and you just have to. First of all, you have to just sit there for ages waiting to get back out there. That's annoying enough in and of itself. But also, what's going on is this like huge spectacle that would be awesome to watch, but you can't really watch it or enjoy it because you're like
your fucking thighs rubbed down in the dugout,
spending like an hour and a half going like, oh come on,
we had momentum
out there. Yeah, they got to bring in the trapeze for Pink to be swinging around on up out there.
I love this Super Bowl that's got the Kid Leroy and Pink.
What if Super Bowl Australian?
Well, it would be Angry Anderson in a Batmobile.
Yeah. I mean, we do it right. We do it before the game, and it's just like Kath and Kim in the back of a ute being driven around the perimeter of the G, just riffing over those huge speakers.
Meatloaf on death's door, like singing in the crowd.
Meatloaf on the roof of the toilets in the crowd.
Yeah.
Once again, as with any time it comes up, for all of our international listeners, if you've never checked out Meatloaf performing at the AFL Grand Final, give it a run. I mean, R.I.P., but
R.I.P. to the great man.
Incredible performance.
I think it's the 2010 Grand Final, the Collingwood, maybe the drawn one actually, because I don't know if he came back for the second week, but beautiful, a real core memory for me, honestly.
Yeah. One of the first things I can remember performance-wise of watching and being like, wow, I'm seeing a fucking actual train wreck live in front of my face. It's
rare to see a singer bomb, and this singer is bombing hard.
And it's also, that's like peak snarky Twitter. It's like peak, also people, the experience of like people watching stuff all at the same time, which like you might get a week's worth of reactions to like a, Succession episode or whatever, but like back in the day when it was like, no, everyone's tuning into the Logies at the same time.
Yeah, everyone saw
shit on Twitter.
Ashley Simpson lip syncing on SNL and going out of sync with the song. Yeah, it was honestly the best time to be alive, and I wish I was 23 again.
Yeah, big time. Well, hey, speaking of being 23 again, maybe what you're wistful for is being young, getting your first car.
Oh,
and just the freedom that brings with it, being able to just hit the open road and just, you know, go wherever you want.
What a strange thing to bring up, Tommy.
Yeah, thank you. I try to be as random as possible on here.
Yeah, you are quite the absurdist comedian. No, we both played a game. I think it's still in early access. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's... Well, hey, not to brag, guys, but it's not actually out yet. We got given some early codes.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. We got to disclose
cool.
that. We got to disclose that. I love that in a like on a website review, especially when, because I mean, you know, most outlets are given, you know, free codes.
Absolutely.
For the game they're reviewing, and then their journalistic standards thing or whatever, they have to disclose that. And I kind of love when it's a review that is absolutely just trashing the game, and then you get to the bottom and there's that little bit in italics like, a copy of this game was provided by Nintendo. Just having to disclose, yeah, they gave it to us for free, but guess what? We don't give a rat's.
Yeah.
We are not playing the game at all.
You will not be seeing this game was provided by Nintendo on any more reviews.
But no, this is out, I think, on the 5th of Feb.
It's for early Feb, yeah, first week of Feb. And a demo was released, I think, probably at one of those Steam Next Fest sort of situations like 6 months ago or so.
Yeah,
So it's been out there.
Demo got a lot of hate, a lot of interest, really racked up the downloads, according to the... I got sent a press release about it.
Okay. And we're just going to repeat what it says in the press release. Okay, we're going to be open about it, and that is what's ethical.
Yeah, I want to be quoted in one of these mail outs. I'm gonna send them back this episode. I want them to quote the stuff that we said about funny accents in the press for Keep Driving.
Quote, why would you fly to Ireland to interview this woman? Tommy Dassolo.
But if she thought she was a minion, then I'd completely understand. 5 stars.
Yeah.
But no, okay, so Keep Driving, there's a lot going on. It's a really interesting game. So it's a pixel art style game, but in a way that doesn't feel like it's, you know, a lot of stuff is pixel art now, and sometimes it can feel a bit
arbitrary.
Bit like it's been done, or a bit sort of, they tend to kind of just not grab your attention, because most indies do that style, but it's done in a really neat way. So you play, it's a rogue light. I can never remember the difference, but you start each run, you build a character, you pick a little job for them, you pick how good their relationship is with their parents.
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
and that determines, when you basically, you know, run out of your resources and everything in the world, how high your chance is going to be of being able to get a second shot. It's basically like a roll of the dice, whether you'll get to keep going. And the mechanic for that is you calling your parents for help. So if your relationship with them is great, you definitely will get like a second burst. Or if it's lower, then your chances are like, I don't know, 10% or something like that of it actually working. Anyway, you choose all these things. You choose a type of car, which you unlock more of as you do more runs.
Yep.
And then you set out on the open road. And basically what this is, I guess, an RPG.
Yeah. It's kind of a survival RPG as well.
Yeah.
And so, for anyone who hasn't seen any images of this, which I do encourage you to look it up, it's 2D. You're looking side-on, car on the road, buildings, you know, in the background, streetscape, and you sort of pick a destination on a map, and then you hit go, and off you go. You're watching the car sort of basically in real time.
You don't control any of the actual driving in the game.
No.
You do a lot of stuff.
Yep.
But the actual driving is 2D left to right. You're just like watching kind of a little movie.
Yeah, things passing in the background, and then you have at the bottom of the screen a whole bunch of shit, actually. You have like how many energy sort of cubes, any energy bars you have left. You have your fuel gauge. you will have a sort of depiction of the road in a sort of like, abstracted just line drawing, where you can see events coming up ahead of you. And you will have your glove box, your glove compartment with like whatever snacks you've put in there, which themselves can help like replenish energy, or take or have an effect on the events that pop up as you're driving.
You've also got the durability of your car. So you've got these three things. You've got your energy, your durability, and your fuel, which in between... so you're picking a destination on the map to get to, and each of the destinations will have things like a shop where you can get food and whatnot, a repair shop, an auto shop where you can like upgrade the car, and these are all kind of randomized every time you do a run. And in between those destinations, these road events is where you're doing the actual the most gameplay stuff, the most like RPG element of it, which is really cool. So an event will happen and it will be something like... They don't function too differently from one another, but they're things like, a big tractor that you're trying to pass, or there's a lot of potholes, or you've found some roadkill, or whatever it is. But you come to it, and it will bring up a little row of icons on your screen, and you have to get rid of all those icons. And what you're doing on your turn is you're using these little... They're sort of depicted as like little hanging air freshener things, but you've got these little cards that you can use that will have some of the icons represented on them in sort of different orders, and it's the same with the things that you have in your glove box, and so you're finding new things that might have 2 blue ones in a row, or like a green and then a space and then a blue, and you're basically lining them up on that grid of this road event to sort of slowly wipe them all off. And also over the course of the game, you're picking up hitchhikers, which come with their own set of skills that they have, and they get experience points and they level up, so they get more skills. And so in your turn, you're wiping off those icons, or trying to wipe off those icons. On the enemy turn, those icons will damage you, and those icons each represent one of either your energy, your fuel gauge, your durability, or your cash. And so if they hit you, one of those things is going to go down and get depleted. And then you're also... Things are happening to you as you're driving along. Like if you've gone a long time without resting, you get tired, so things cost you more energy to use. If you're hungry... if you're cold, you can get little items that will give you debuffs for a little while. And then when you're in the towns or at the stops, and you're in the stores and the auto shops buying stuff, you've also got this kind of space management little thing where you've got to fit everything into your trunk, and the different cars that you unlock all have different boot space. And then if you pick up hitchhikers, you've got a limited number of seats in the car. You can choose to kick people out at any time, but like the first run I played, I picked up a guy and he had a dog, and so I had to allow 2 seats for him and the dog. But then at a certain point, the dog kind of leveled up enough where it became awesome, and I was getting a lot of like skill benefits from it. It's all these little different systems. And so when you first set off, you have like a letter that's inviting you to like an event somewhere on the map. So the first one I played, I imagine it's probably the same for everyone. I got invited to a music festival that's like right over the other side of the map. And first of all, you've got to buy a ticket, which you can get in any big city. So it'll show you on the map, here's where the big city is, where you get the ticket. And then further on from that is where the actual festival is. And you've got to get there by a certain date. Everything's taking a certain amount of time. And you can't just like blow your whole way there. You've got to go stop by stop on the map. So there might be tiny little town that's only got a gas station or only got an auto shop, and then from there you might have 2 different directions that you can go in. One might be a highway, one might be more of a bumpy road. The bumpy roads are going to throw different events at you, deteriorate your car a bit more. I am fucking loving it.
Yeah, it's sick. Like you said, it is kind of complicated, or at least there's a lot of systems that interact with each other. But I think it's all really logical. It's really well done. And then, packaging it in that sort of road trip sort of shell, that outer casing, it just really works. It's a good aesthetic, and it's a fun sort of like, harkening back to getting your first car and heading it on the road and being like, I can deal with anything. And just like my first run was really hard. I didn't pick up a lot of stuff to sell, and like, I got a hitchhiker, but they only really had like one skill, and like they were very distracting to the main character as well.
Right.
So
you
can really get through like a spanner in the works depending on what random stuff you get given.
My first run, I picked because you pick sort of a background for your character, and then and that dictates kind of the stuff that you have in your boot when you set off. And I picked the guy who you get like a guitar. At a certain point, I had to sell that. And on that run, there's like a bunch of towns that you'll go to have like an employment center where you can get money by, you expend some energy and you use up a bunch of time. And my first run, I didn't come across any employment centers.
Right.
So I sold the guitar, and then I had no money for fuel, ran out on the side of the freeway, had to hit the call parents button, denied. And I don't know. If your parents don't help you out, I don't know what the implication is, because you're on the side of the freeway without money, so you have to. They still have to have helped you like get home in some capacity.
I mean, maybe the DLC is like hitchhiker, keep hitchhiking.
Yeah, maybe.
Thumbs out.
Yeah.
It's called thumbs out, and you've got to hitchhike your way home, which also would be actually a sick idea for a roguelike RPG.
But it's one of those great things where they've had the idea for the presentation of it, and then that feeds into everything, like the setting the relationship with your parents and how likely that's gonna make it that you get a second run is such a cool idea. All of the music in it is when you set off, you have like one CD in your CD stacker, and then it's got like 6 songs on it. And then over the course of the game, you meet people who are like, oh, hey, I found this CD. Do you want it? Or like, here's my band's demo. Or like, it might be for sale at one of the convenience stores. And so that is one of the things that is that carries over from run to run. You are gradually building up this soundtrack that then you have to open the CD player from the menu, and you make a little playlist. I think you can pick like maybe 6 songs from across all of the CDs that you own. And then you have to hit play, and you'll be driving along, and eventually you realize like, oh, no music's playing. I've hit the end of that CD. So you have to like go in and pick all the songs again. And it's great. It just all really works. Like everything just feeding into this central concept, and there's little bits of story in terms of the little missions that you're doing, but it is really just about like you really role playing. You really getting into like, I'm hitting the open road. What am I going to do for money? I've probably got enough fuel to last me for a little bit, or should I fill up here? And you have these moments where you'll be on the road and it'll come up with a little, like your mind is wandering, and this little thought bubble will come up, and it's like something that you're thinking about, and you get kind of 2 options of how to respond. And then based on what you pick, you'll get some form of little status thing that is either a help or a hindrance. I am just really loving it. It does such a good job of, sort of slowly showing you how to play it and kind of introducing you to these things, which then you pretty quickly on your next run, you're like, oh, right. And then it really starts clicking, and you go, oh, I've got to make sure I have that. Or like starting the run with like, for my second run, I'd unlocked the truck, which comes with a gas can that's got like 6 items of fuel in it. So going like, oh, okay, that's really helpful to have for getting out of a pinch. And like when you're at those employment sections, like really make use of them, like really get a lot of money, burn the energy, but then you just rest. You can sleep in your car and build the energy back up. So just kind of do that for as many days as you can afford, and just like pump up your funds so that then when you get to an auto shop, you can buy the new tires that are going to, so you can upgrade your car with things that'll like when you're in the road events and the threats that you've got to take out, you'll have things where it's like it just automatically gets rid of 2 of them. Like, you can really, and the more you play it, the more you sort of go like, you've come across more of the little things that you can buy that are improving your car, and you're like, oh fuck yeah, those tires are the best ones, I'm gonna get them.
Right.
Yeah.
All the music, and I don't know if this was in the press release, but yeah, it's a Swedish developer, and all of the music is from local indie bands from the town in Sweden that the devs are from, or that area.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So yeah, that is also just such a big tick in their favor. I think it's really cool to incorporate and collaborate with other local artists. Like
it feels like you're taking a stroll around Bandcamp, because you'll get
Yeah,
it's funny, like
totally.
you'll get a CD and it gives you like a little preview, like you'll put it on, you're like, I hate this, and just immediately eject it. I've got this band Crystal Boys, who I really like, who are my go-to at the moment. I'm yet to find any other music in there that's really grabbed me in the same way, but it is all, some of it's really like kind of pop rocky, like carefree, arms out the window kind of stuff. Some of it's more sort of like
there's
the
some
movie,
like synthy dream
the
pop
movie
in there.
Drive, like really.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I want. I want my real.
Yes.
I want my soundtrack for my road trip to be real chill wave kind of energy. And just even that level of like customization of it, and the the role playing thing that really feeds into it. It's such a good call, rather than having it be a completely prescribed soundtrack of just the same stuff for every player. Totally.
I hope they like chuck up a YouTube video that's like beats to study and keep driving to, because that is the kind of stuff that I've been cranking on there. But really fun game. It's out soon. I don't know if the demo's still up on Steam, but if it is, give it a crank. Because it's very addictive and very fun.
I mean, this is the kind of thing that you really like. Yeah, doing a show like this and getting handed something early that you just really want to be able to tell people about. You really want to get the word out about, because it's a small game, and it's the funny thing with indies. Some of them randomly will get that bigger attention. Some of them, they've got their player base, but they, it's such a crowded marketplace. But could not recommend this more. And at the very least, it's kind of hard to describe, but if you go look at the trailer, I think you'll know pretty immediately what you're in for. I've been loving it.
Hell yeah. Well, should we talk about? Maybe I'll pepper in some games that I played that you didn't, because I've been hitting the indie highway. I've played. This isn't a brand new game or anything. Dungeons and Degenerate Gamblers. I think it's published by this Aussie guy's video games company. It's like built out of, I think, a podcast. It turned into a bit of a media network. Oh wow. Yog. Okay. That guy. I think he owned, maybe one of the like review websites. Anyway, Dungeons and Degenerate Gamblers. You had a look at this too, Tommy. Did you give it a play, or did you
I didn't
just
give it a
check
play
out?
yet. No, I just had a quick squiz at it.
So it's we talked about Billionaire a couple of weeks ago. It's very much in the vein of the what if Balatro was something else. And again, it is a pixel art roguelike, but it is a card game focused around the mechanics, much more specifically based around the actual mechanics of blackjack than your Billionaires and your Balatros. But it is. You sort of start off with a basic deck. You're basically just playing blackjack against a random little person. You'll like pick I'll go to the tavern and I'll play every person in the tavern, or I'll go rest over here. Oh, there's a guy at this rest area that I'll play. But you will similar to sort of like Slay the Spire and games like that. Inscription also, you'll like have a little bit where you get to choose or buy a new card for your deck, and some of them are like, well, this card is the 13 of spades. There'll be cards that don't actually exist in the regular deck, or it'll be cards with a modifier, or it'll be like when you play this lock, the key lock card, then you lock one of your opponent's cards that are currently in play. So like if they've got an 8 of hearts in play, and you lock it, that means they'll start with 8 in blackjack, which makes it so much harder, for them to not go over 21. But it has all those little things, like these kinds of games have. They'll have the little sort of buffs, the permanent buffs. They'll have the cool cards with the fun little special features and stuff. And then, it's basically you just kind of point and click different areas to go into. It's all very like abstracted, kind of like a Slay the Spire Inscription, where it's like, you just click into the next little random event. But yeah, it's really well done. I think the simplicity and the shortness of the hand of blackjack just makes it super, super fun, super addictive, really replayable. And yeah, all of those systems are done really well. I've had a really fun time with it.
Cool.
Yeah, definitely recommend picking it up. It's another one to add to the rotation where, yeah, you'll jump in, you'll play a few hands, you'll beat a few different little guys, and then that'll be your Dungeons and Degenerate Gamblers play of the day.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, I've been, you know what we've been doing a lot recently? Taking a deck of cards to the pub, me and Lauren.
Oh, nice.
Going real old school. And the other day, we'd been there for a little bit. I was meeting up with Tom Ballard, who was coming around to our house, and then I was going to say to him, why don't we just go to the pub to have this meeting? And he turned up a bit early, like he was at our house before we were home. So I said to Lauren,
right.
I'm just going to run up, because we were just down the road. I was like, hey, I'll just run up and grab him and bring him back here, because we were just going to come back here anyway. And so I was gone for all of 5 minutes, and when I got back, Lauren was sitting at the pub by herself, and she'd set up like a full round of solitaire, just like just like cards all over the table, and I was like, you knew I was going to be like 5 minutes, and you just really locked in. She's like, I don't know, I thought you might be a while. I'm like, all right, cool.
I thought a random encounter might have happened on the way to or from.
Little side quest.
Yeah. I'm going to just double check who made this, Dungeons and Degenerate, because I know the publisher at least is Australian. It is made by Purple Moss Collectors, who so Yogscast Games was created 8 years ago. It's based. Why do I have to scroll so far up the fucking Wikipedia page? Oh, it's British. It's a British-based publisher. But yeah, like pretty small time sort of situation. But a really good game that's really well made, great design, really cool aesthetic, but also design in terms of the gameplay. It's just very, very Moorish, like a lot of these games are. And check it out. There is currently a demo on Steam, so definitely worth a little poke just to see if you're into it. But yeah, I feel like if you like Balatro, it's kind of a no-brainer.
Yep. Cool. We've also both played a little bit of a new game, which is a sequel to a game called Lonely Mountain?
Yes.
Lonely Mountains.
Which is itself a sequel to The Lonely Island.
Yes. They added a few more guys, and now it's way bigger. Lonely Mountains Snow Riders.
Yes.
Which is what is the first one?
It's a mountain
Lonely
biking.
Riders down here. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is I think the other one was very popular. This is basically the same format but skiing, and I've not played the original. Was interested in this. It's got a real. It kind of reminds me a lot of. Is it just called Ski? That game that was on all the Windows PCs back in the day, where
Ski Free,
yeah, where you would get chased by the Yeti.
Yes.
Kind of really took me back to that. It's like it's very simple. There's no music. It's very like serene. You just get in the zone. Maybe you're listening to a podcast or something in the background.
Yeah, maybe.
Very basic controls. If you've played a sort of what would you call this? Like it's not the camera is fixed, so the main challenge is like you'll kind of go around a corner, and then your controls are sort of inverted. So a lot of the challenge is in sort of getting your head around that, and
trying to keep the perspective of like because you will start on sort of the crest of a hill, camera behind the skier. The controls are quite simple, which is good because the physics of this game is quite challenging. That is, that's where you've really got to get the reaction time up there because you just kind of push off with the trigger. You hold like a button to crouch, which obviously increases your speed, but it also reduces your turning sort of response and turning circle. And then, and the left trigger is brake. But basically, it is like time trials. You're going down the mountain, hitting checkpoints as fast as you can. There will also be a limit to the number of crashes that you can do during the run. And you do get respawned after every crash, but to keep unlocking runs and mountains and apparel and shit like that.
Yeah.
You've got to be hitting the required, under 11 crashes and get it in this time frame. And so, you're basically going down these runs and you are dodging obstacles. You are going off jumps. You got to if you're doing a big jump, you've got to make sure you hold down the trigger, otherwise you stack when you land.
Yeah,
just
you're
all
doing
this
your
combination
flips and all that kind of stuff. Yeah,
yes. You can do flips. You can do grabs, which are it's all for points and increasing your high score and unlocking more and more runs and mountains and little ski outfits.
Yeah, I like it. I like how it feels. I like how it looks. It's very serene. It's it's a really nice I was playing it yesterday afternoon. I'd spent all day kind of working on the show for the first night over here, and I kind of was like, I'm just going to give myself an hour to just do some stuff for this, and also just kind of switch off the part of working on my show brain. And it was a great one for that because it's it's very quiet, it's very simple. I don't know that I've quite gotten into that flow state with it yet where I'm really feeling the pull. Keep driving immediately, I was like, I just want to keep going on runs of this and seeing if I can, I haven't had a run yet where I've, gotten to one of the objectives and gotten them ticked off. I'm really wanting to get into that point with it and see, how far I can get. It hasn't quite clicked for me in the same way yet. I do get the impression that a big part of this and the other one, the previous one, is the multiplayer element of it, where you can be on the mount with 8 of you all kind of skiing down. That looks very fun.
Yeah. That's the kind of default that you're presented with, I think, when you first boot up. It's start your own lobby, join a lobby, and then, be doing this in real time with a bunch of mates. I've just been doing the single player, and I like it. I like it a lot. It's hard though.
Yeah, it's really hard. I got up to a bit where, because of that perspective, and I really like that element of it, that the camera stays static. I saw a comment on one of the trailers being like, why can't you have it so that the camera's behind you? It's there's a million there's heaps of skiing games that are like that. You can
because
find
that makes this unique.
Yeah.
Because it's interesting.
I got into a bit where I think it's the second mountain. You get to a bit where it's a frozen there's a frozen bit of river and it's ice.
Yep.
And I just could not tell which way down it which way the path was. So I got kind of stuck there, and I would try and go to the left and then stack, and then it just took me ages to figure out. I'm where am I meant to go on this? It doesn't it's cool. I really like the way that you're sort of, if you stack a couple of times, then you get to know the lay of the mountain a bit better. Yeah. But there is something really thrilling about having to just completely intuit where you're meant to go, and you get to a slight fork, and then you realize you've gone down the bit that's got a lot of jumps in it, so you're going to have to be really on your shit with landing them. But it's exciting. It's exciting when you if you're trying to go for a good run, just kind of getting yourself in a little bit over your head and just having to run with it. It's I really like the pace and the feel of it. It's really cool.
Yeah, I love it. When you get a fucking good run up where you are hurtling down the mountain, you're just dodging rocks and trees left and right, and just slide that little booty through the little checkpoint with a second to go. Yeah. And it is really satisfying, and it has to have that level of difficulty to have that payoff, and so I totally get that. And I'm enjoying it. I think maybe a little bit more even than Keep Driving, because it has that reaction time. It's a little bit more of a live game. I think I'm kind of just flipped where I really like both of them, but it being a bit more, it literally is switch your brain off and go with your reflexes.
We should have an online sesh of it sometime.
Yeah, we should. Yeah,
we should record an episode of this in it. We'll put the audio up, but if you want to if you want to watch us skiing instead of, that's what we should. I mean, we haven't done new videos for a while. We should turn them into, instead of the video episode being just our webcam faces. It's we're still doing the pod, but the video is we have been playing a game together while we've been doing it.
Yeah. Okay.
And we're not even really commenting on what's happening in the game.
No.
Maybe there's like the odd pause in the audio where we're like, oh, God damn it. Sorry.
Shit. I think I got booted from the lobby anyway. I'll be back in a sec. Yeah, no, that would be fun. Maybe, if we chuck up like a room code for for the filth, we can all jump in and have a play sometime because I do wonder how that changes the experience. But yeah, it's fun. Lonely Mountains, Snow Riders. Give it a little poke if you like that sort of thing. Physics based kind of time trials.
Yeah. And you have also followed up on a little recommendation that we got from a certain bastard who doesn't know how to use his microphone.
Yeah. You were going to message him directly about this. Should we call him out?
Yeah, I'll do it now. You tell the story and I'll send the message while we're chatting.
Okay, so we recorded an episode with the great Andrew Levins, old friend of ours. We chatted all things Switch, and at the start of the recording, we were fiddling with the microphones and stuff. Lev was trying to get his set up, and he mentioned like, I've got this Rode, microphone. I thought I'd use this. I thought it might be a bit better than just like connecting my Zoom recorder, which is tried and tested and has been working for like 10 plus years. And he's like real echoey. Everyone who heard the episode would have heard that someone said he sounded a bit like Ultron. He had that weird sort of echoey robot voice.
Well, when I was editing the audio, there's like there's a gap where one of us is speaking, and you can just hear like beautifully clear like a motorbike. Now, I don't know, I've not been to his house. I don't know how close to the street his office is, but the fidelity with which you could hear the engine of this motorbike absolutely giving it some was like really impressive.
Knowing what we know now, that could have been like 500 meters away. It could have been a kilometer away. Because, we haven't confirmed this, but a kind listener has dutifully pointed out that it's quite highly likely that Mr. Andrew Levins had his microphone facing the wrong direction. Yeah.
Because he did say it's a Rode mic, and they make good mics. They're a good they're a good brand. They know what they're doing. And
they're very reliable.
Thinking about how his voice sounded and then how clear the rest of the world sounded, that does seem to be the most likely option. And look, not to throw him under the bus. It sounds fine. It's listenable. It sounds not to throw him under the bus that you can hear beautifully, perfectly in spatial audio on his recording.
I could hear what number bus route it was. That's how.
No, look, great of him to take the time. It sounds fine. It's not like a disaster or anything like that. It's only crossed my mind because I am in Perth. I brought my Zoom recorder, but forgot to bring a fucking microphone for some reason. So I was in JB Hi-Fi having to find like a good on-the-go solution that wasn't going to break the bank, and him being like, "Oh man, this is a Rode," and it sounded like shit. No, just knowing that, it's like, it was really stressing me out looking at all the different brands, because I'm like, God, how do you know? How do you know if you're getting a good one or an absolute lemon? And I was staring at that Rode that I think was the same one, that looked the same, and I'm getting sucked in. I'm looking at the box, and it's saying all the right things, and I'm like, oh, I just can't do it. I can't do it. And so I got this little Audio Technica one that you can hear me on right. Be funny if this just sounds inarguably worse than Levin's recording.
Also you are talking into the wrong end of the microphone, Tommy.
Exactly, yeah. But look, hey, maybe that's what was going on. Anyway, not to throw too much shade, because look, it was a great ep. He came on and he gave us some beautiful recommendations for indie games, and you followed up on one of them.
That's right, yeah. Many thanks to Levins, because I have been playing Thronefall, and I've been fucking loving it. It is it's like a real-time strategy game, but it's like a wave-based, like a horde mode sort of based game, where you're like, start in this little area, you've got like a town center. The town center might like have one little arrow guy who can shoot out arrows. You're this little knight, you control him in real time, you run around, and you start off with like a few coins, and if you run over to an area of the map, it'll sort of have like the sort of ghost outline of what you could build there, and how many coins it would take. So you run over and also in this sort of in-between levels mode, you can see like where the threat is going to come from and how many like bad soldiers are going to come get you. So you'd be like, okay, top left corner of the map, I'm going to run over here. Oh, it's saying that I could build like a defense tower here. It'll cost 3 coins. And you just like hold down the mouse button and it goes bing, bing, bing. And then you've got a little defense tower there. And then when you run out of coins for building stuff, you just start the level. Night falls. And then, yeah, these enemies start marching their way in to attack your base. And so you'll be able to attack and defend, like you'll be able to run your little knight over and attack. And then whatever you've built in the meantime, defense towers will be shooting arrows at the soldiers. You can build little barracks where it'll be like, okay, this will generate like 4 little guys who'll come and help you. And every time you beat a sort of wave of enemies, the sun will come up again. You'll get a bunch of coins for defeating those enemies, and then you put those coins back into building stuff. And so there's like a little overworld map where, yeah, if you do enough battles in this little level, that'll be clocked. You can move on to the next one, and so on. And yeah, great, cool style, sort of cel-shaded. The vibes, it's like very sort of like warm oranges during the day, cool pastel pink sort of darkness at night. But it's great. It's so replayable. It's very addictive. And yeah, it's really simple in what you can actually do, but it's complex in how you are going to react to the situation you're presented with. It's really, really good. I can only echo his sentiments and recommend it to everyone listening. Go out, buy Thronefall, and have a absolute pisser of a time.
I'm going to do it. Yeah, I mean, I was thinking at the start of the week, it's been a little while since I've gotten into it. It's been a while since a game has just fully like hooked me in. There just hasn't really been anything on the radar for a while that I've just really felt the pull, and that's why it was awesome to get into Keep Driving and then just be like, okay, this is the new one that I can see myself sinking like a lot of hours into.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm still absolutely flogging my log over Billionaire.
Yeah.
I'm like 40 hours into that, and that is
right.
That's a lot of hours.
Yeah, I mean, this is the kind of point of the year where we're not quite in the point where the big boys are coming out yet, but it's a good time to get into some indies that you missed from the last few months, or some ones that are just about to come out.
Exactly. Keep the radar out there for the indies, because there's some sick games out at the moment.
I had I was conging my little log off on the flight over here. Let me tell you what.
Yeah. Yes, I also have been really enjoying Donkey Kong Country Returns HD. And hey, I'm glad that Country's back. It's been a long time since Country has been the foremost musical genre, and I'm a big Johnny Cash fan.
Yeah.
I love Townes Van Zandt. I love Dolly Parton.
Everyone's talking about. Everyone's still talking a year on about Beyonce going country.
Yeah.
No one's talking about how Donkey Kong's back in the country. He's got out of that little car. They've made him look different. It's funny. I saw it was like a tweet that was there's like in those games his idle animation is he'll sit there and he'll pull out. I think it was at one point a DS, and then it was a 3DS, and then they've changed it to a Switch. So they've kind of changed it each time they've re-released the game.
Yeah.
And it was kind of quote tweeted by someone from Rare who did the original like redesign of him back in the day for Donkey Kong Country, and basically talking about, because of the way his eyes are set, it's kind of impossible to ever have him not look really annoyed, because it's like that idle animation is so funny. Like he's meant to just be kind of like bored and chilling out and playing his Switch and waiting for you to pick up the controller, but he just looks like, and I guess that's why they're redesigning him, because in the movie they couldn't have him look like that because he's got to be able to display more emotion. But it is funny that he's like, anytime you see him in any key art or anything in any game, he just looks fucking permanently pissed off. He's pissed. He's PO'd.
Yeah, but sick game. Do we want to touch briefly on Dynasty Warriors Origins? I don't think I will ever talk about it again. this?
I've played the demo. I like it. I like that format. I like those games. It feels very familiar from having played the Persona one and the Zelda one. I don't know if I quite. Again, as we've talked about a bit on this episode, it's the coat of paint on it. I like those franchises, so I really like when they've used it as a point of difference for a series that it's kind of thrilling to all of a sudden be, running around as Zelda, fighting 100 little guys at once, which isn't something that you do in those games. When it's its own thing, I don't know if I quite feel the same. Yeah, I didn't quite feel the same pull with this one. Yeah,
and I don't mind the coat of paint for this one. It might have been the most interesting thing, that sort of like, that era of like, Chinese history that's kind of blown up and exaggerated into this wild sort of fantasy situation. But it was just, I couldn't get to grips with the combat. It's a little complex.
Yeah, it's a tough demo in that it drops you in on something that I imagine is like, I don't know, 5 or so hours in, which those games do a lot of tutorializing. I think it kind of assumes that you're getting the demo because you're a fan of the other Dynasty Warriors games and you're wanting to see like what the flavor of this one is. Because I didn't find it control-wise too difficult, because it's the same as all those other ones have been, and it is a bit of like muscle memory. Almost in like a From Softy kind of way, where you're like, oh yeah, that's right, you've got your stagger gauge and you got your this and that, and most of these enemies can't. When it's like the Horde, you're just basically charging in and just doing your big wipeout attacks. Like that all felt very familiar, but it was still a little bit of like relearning, and like it doesn't show you anything. Like it doesn't assume that you're playing the demo as someone who's never interacted with one of these games before. And kind of I think it would be better off just having it be the first hour of the game and have the progress carry over. It seems like a weird choice. Yeah.
And maybe I'll get back to it in a lull later in the year, but like we've been saying, there's a shit ton of great indies out at the moment that I'm putting a lot of hours into. Maybe I'll come back to it. I don't feel like, and again, maybe it is like, this is one for the Dynasty heads. Like, I didn't see a huge sort of amount of buzz around it. I feel like maybe fans of the series have enjoyed it, and that's kind of as far as it's gone. I guess it was maybe never positioned to be like a massive hit game for the year, but I don't know if there's some kind of weird resurgence later in the year. I might give it another crack, but it just, it didn't quite grab me.
Let us know if you're one of the Dynasty heads out there. Let us know how you're finding this one. And you know, it's funny, like us saying, I guess this is just one for the maybe a bit impenetrable for any newbies to the series. We'll be on the other side of that fence in a couple of weeks for Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii, where anyone coming to that new, I imagine, will be like, what the fuck is going on? What is this?
Man, I'm very excited to see what that game actually is. And we are starting to get closer to the sort of rollout of I guess more broadly appealing and bigger releases. Very keen for that, but still going to try and fit in as many fun little indies before we start playing 25-hour-long AAA games.
Yes. But, well, that's going to do us for this week. Thank you for joining us. Head to filthycasuals.com.au. Get on the Patreon. You can get a bonus episode every week from us. We also now on Tuesdays are dropping a second show in this feed. If you haven't listened to that yet, it's called Video Drone. It's us talking about movies and TV shows. We're currently recapping Severance Season 2 in the back end of each episode and talking current new release movies and showbiz, other stuff that's happening. We did a bit of a Oscars nominations chat this week. And we got Jen Fricker joining us on those for the next little while. So check that out. If you like this and you've always wanted to recommend it to someone who doesn't play video games, but you think they'd like the vibe, well, this could be your access point.
Absolutely.
Every Tuesday on the same feed, clearly labelled when it is that different show. So check that out. Yeah, come see me if you're in Perth. I'm here until Sunday, Feb 2nd. That is going to do us for this week. Thank you for joining us. And as we say here at the end of every episode of Filthy Casuals, don't actually do the accent, for the love of God. Please don't actually do the accent.
Oh, Tommy, I just bonked me head.